Hello and welcome to yet another section in our project resource management knowledge area. Now in this section we're going to be discussing develop team. Now this is a process in this particular knowledge area. Now here we'll be looking at how you're going to onboard and train and educate the team that you have put together to work on your project. Alright, so without much ado, let's hit the ground running. The first is an overview of this particular sub-process. Now we're still on the human resource aspect of our project management. This section explores team development. Now it's worthy of noting that a well-developed team contributes significantly to the success of your projects. Alright, so you have to have that in mind. The developed team phase is a pivotal component of project management, and it focuses on enhancing the competencies and interactions of the project team members. So you're going to have to find ways to enhance the competencies of your team members. All right, get them up to speed, get them up to date with the skills and competencies that are required for the particular activities that they're going to be handling. All right, so it involves activities that foster collaboration, build trust, and promote a positive team environment. So you're going to be needing this in colossal amounts, right, for the success of your projects. Collaboration, trust, positive team environment, very critical aspects of teamwork. All right, so the things that you're going to be doing in this section, in developing the team, has to do with whatever is required to bring about collaboration. All right, whatever is required to engender trust. All right, and then also promote that positive environment for healthy collaboration. So here you're going to learn strategies to build a cohesive and high performance project team, which is very important. Cohesion, team cohesion, very important. Everybody being on the same page, all right, having the same perspective. Now it doesn't mean that they must always agree on everything, all right, but they just have to be on the same page. All right, even when there are disagreements, at the end of the day they should be able to come to terms. All right, and then everybody should have a proper perspective on what is to be done and have that team focus. All right, without which you cannot have effective project execution. All right, the importance of effective communication, team building activities, and leadership skills will also be emphasized in this section. Okay, so by the end of this section you should be able to understand the objectives of developed team process, identify the inputs, tools, and techniques, as well as the outputs of this process. And also you understand how this process contributes to the overall success of your project. Okay, ready to go? Now let's look at the objectives of the developed team sub-process. The primary objectives of this sub-process include: cultivate a high-performing project team. Very important. The team that you're building, you're putting together, has to be a high-performance team. All right, so you're going to have to cultivate that, and this section is going to help you do that. Enhance individual and collective competencies. All right, update their competencies, enhance their competencies, strengthen the competencies that is required to get the job done, and done very well. Foster a collaborative and supportive team culture. All right, so these objectives are very, very critical. High performance team, competent team, and collaborative and supportive team culture. Now, what are the inputs for this sub-process? First on the list is project management plan. Now, this provides guidance on team development strategies. Project documents. Relevant documents such as roles and responsibilities matrix influence team development. So we've seen this before. The roles and responsibilities matrix as a document where you have, the roles for each individual in your resource team outlined, and also their responsibilities. Okay, so this is a very, very critical input in this develop team sub-process. Enterprise environmental factors. These are external factors such as organizational culture, and they impact team development, right? So you're going to have to look at those external factors to the project team. All right, now when we talk about external factors, these are factors that are outside of the project team itself. All right, like the performing organization, the particular organization within which the project team is handling the project. All right, they're going to have their organizational culture, they're going to have organizational processes and systems. Okay, so remember when we talked about acquiring resources, if you're going to be acquiring resources from within the organization rather than from outside, all right, so definitely you're going to have to consider the HRO system, all right, within the organization, all right, the HRO culture that is put in place within the organization. So these are factors that you have to consider, and they would also impact your team development, how they conduct their training. All right, training process is also key within the organization. So it will also affect how you also conduct that as well. So what are the tools and techniques required for this sub-process, training and development? Now, this involves providing skill building opportunities to enhance individual and team capabilities. All right, so this is very, very key. So you're going to have to come up with a training program, all right, training and development program for your team members. All right, and also what methodology are you going to use for the training? All right, is it going to be classroom method? Is it going to be virtual online? All right, is it going to be on the job training? Right, so again, looking at the EEFs, the external environmental factors, right, like the one mentioned before, what systems are already in place, okay, for training and development within the performing organization. Okay, so you're gonna have to leverage on that. If they already have a training platform, okay, and an online learning platform, so of course you can leverage on that for your particular project. Okay, so just come up with whatever content that is required to help them acquire the particular skills or competencies that is necessary for their particular engagements. Okay, and get it on the platform and get them running. Team building activities, engaging in activities that promote trust, communication, and collaboration. So you want to bring in those activities that will promote trust. So you're going to try to be creative at this particular point. All right. So what are those activities that will promote trust? So you could come up with things like, going for lunch together. All right. So this will help to promote communication. And then coming up with some activities like brainstorming section, okay, to foster collaboration. All right. So just anything that could help in fostering that collaboration and promoting trust among team members. You could even go for an outing together, engage in some sporting activity. Okay, this will go a long way also to promote collaboration within the team. Recognition and rewards, acknowledging and rewarding team members for their contribution. So this is a morale building technique, all right, and it also helps in motivating your team. Okay, so acknowledge good work, okay, great jobs, and reward them, especially openly, for significant contributions. Okay. Individual and team assessments, evaluating current competencies and identifying areas for improvement. So you're going to have to do this review from time to time, reviewing their inputs and outputs, and then gauging it with the goals and objectives of the team as well as the individual. Okay, and identifying areas of need, and then going ahead to actually provide resources necessary for filling those needs. All right, so let's move on to the outputs for this sub-process. So what are the outputs to expect from here? So first is the updated project documents. Reflect changes in team roles, responsibilities, and skills. Okay, so this document is going to reflect whatever changes that has been made in terms of the roles for a particular team member or some team members, their responsibilities as well as their skills. Okay, team performance assessments. These are evaluations of team effectiveness and areas of improvement. So like we said before, you're going to have to carry out team assessments, okay, from time to time. Could be weekly, could be monthly, could be quarterly, depending on the duration of the project itself. All right, so we're going to have to do those assessments, all right, for the purpose of gauging the status, all right, or the level of effectiveness of the team and or its members, okay, its individual members, and then coming up with means of improving effectiveness. Change requests. If significant changes are identified during team development, change requests may be initiated. Okay, so when you find that a particular team member or some members of the team are not performing as expected, and then of course every effort to enhance competencies or to improve performance have proved abortive, then you may consider making changes, either changing roles or changing the individual entirely. All right, and maybe getting rid of the person and then bringing in someone who is capable of actually handling the role. But then again, this is the reason why at the outset, when we're talking about acquisition, you have to have a very thorough process, in your acquisition. All right. However, it's still a gamble at the initial stage. All right. Recruitment will say most times it's a gamble. You never can tell until the rubber hits the road. Okay, so you could always almost have change requests. Okay. Now, what are the key takeaways from this sub-process? Firstly, continuous improvement. Team development is an ongoing process that requires regular assessments and adjustments. Okay, so that's something that has to be ongoing. All right. Communication is fundamental. Open and transparent communication is essential for building trust and rapport within the team. Right? Very important. Tailoring strategies. Adopting a flexible approach and tailoring team development strategies to the unique needs of the team. Okay, so this is very important. So if you have for example, training methodology, all right, that you're going to use, so you have to align it or adopt it to the unique needs of the team. For example, if you have, you're using a virtual team, all right, and these people are in different geographical location, then of course the best method for your training would definitely be online. All right, since they are working remotely, you're definitely going to have to use online learning platforms for their training. All right, so this is very key, tailoring your strategies to the needs of the team on ground. Our recognition matters. Yes, it does. Acknowledging and rewarding team members positively influences morale and motivation. So you want to keep your morale at the top notch. All right, you want to always have the team motivation boosted to ensure getting the best from your team members, because motivated people with high morale, they tend to always perform better than when there is low morale or unmotivated people within the team. Collaboration fuels success. Fostering a collaborative team culture contributes to overall project success. Now, in your project, you don't want to have lone wolves, right, trying to do their own thing, trying to work alone in your project. Okay, so you want to have that collaboration, that team culture, that team spirit, everybody sharing ideas, working together, and then also critiquing processes. All right, critiquing one another's processes in a positive and engaging manner with the aim of getting the best outcomes. All right, so this collaboration is important. Now, understanding these key takeaways empowers project managers and team leaders to implement effective strategies for developing a high-performing and cohesive project team. All right, you want to have a high-performing team, you want to have a championship team, cohesive team that is, acing the projects on ground. Then you want to be mindful of these key takeaways that we have just looked at. Okay, so that's it for the develop team sub-process. In the next section, we're going to be discussing another very, very critical sub-process in this particular knowledge area, which is manage team. I'll see you there. Hello and welcome to section 5 in our project resource management knowledge area. In this section, we're going to be discussing manage team. In other words, team management. How do you manage the team that you have put together, the human resources that you have put together for your project? All right, so let's go. First off, an overview of manage team. The manage team phase is a crucial aspect of project management that involves leading and guiding the project team to achieve project objectives. Okay, so how are you going to lead the people you put together and guide them to achieve the objectives that you have set for the project? So this section navigates through the process of overseeing and leading the project team throughout the project life cycle. Effective team management directly influences project outcomes. It centers on maintaining a positive team environment, addressing conflicts, and ensuring the well-being of team members. Okay? Here you will understand the significance of communication, conflict resolution, and motivation in sustaining a high-performing team. Sustaining. The word is sustaining. Alright? You want to keep the team in that place of, high performance throughout the life cycle of the project. Now, by the end of this section, you should be able to understand the objectives of the managed team process, identify the inputs, tools and techniques, and the outputs of this process. You'll also understand how this process contributes to the overall success of your project. Okay, so that's an overview. Let's hit the road. Now, what are the objectives of the managed team sub-process? The primary objectives of managed team include provide leadership and direction to the team. Now, as they say, the fish rots from the head. When it comes to successful project execution, leadership is everything. All right, so you're going to have to provide that proper leadership and direction for the team members. Resolve conflicts and address team issues. Conflicts are going to always arise. You're going to have issues within the team from time to time. So the ability to be able to resolve those conflicts and address those issues is very, very key to successful project execution. Foster a collaborative and motivated team culture. So these are the objectives that you should have in perspective for this particular sub-process. Now, what are the inputs for managed team? First is project management plan. This provides guidance on team management strategies. Next is the project documents. Information on roles, responsibilities, and team dynamics. Alright? You're going to have them in the project document. Team performance assessment. And this gives you insight into the current state of the team. Okay, so like we mentioned before, you're going to have to carry out periodical performance assessments for your team. Okay, from there you can get the current state of the team at each point in time. So that will give you the direction, the level of leadership that you require, or the type of leadership that you require for your team at a particular time. All right. It will also give you insights on how to lead better. at every point in time. So let's look at the tools and techniques that we require for this process. First is conflict resolution. Addressing and resolving conflicts promptly to maintain a positive team environment. So like I said before, conflicts are going to arise from time to time. So your ability to be able to identify them and resolve them on time will go a long way to maintaining that positive team environment. You don't want to have, conflicts lying around for so long. It's actually going to poison the team spirit and impair the collaboration, okay, or the collaborative efforts of the team. So you want to address conflicts as quickly as possible. Interpersonal skills. Utilizing effective communication and relationship building skills. So you're going to be dealing with people, all right? People who are mostly emotional than rational in nature. So you're going to require a lot of interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence, empathy, okay, to be able to deal with them effectively. Team building activities, promoting collaboration and camaraderie among team members. Like I mentioned before, you're going to have to come up with activities that will promote that collaboration and also have that camaraderie within the team. Recognition and rewards. Like mentioned before, acknowledging and celebrating team achievement will go a long way to keeping the morale high and the motivation at top levels. Training and development, providing continuous learning opportunities to enhance team skills. All right, so at every point in time when you carry out your assessments, you're going to have to identify areas that require improvement and then come up with training content that will actually address those identified needs or skill gaps. Okay, so what are the outputs from this process? Updated project documents. This reflects changes in team roles, responsibilities, and dynamics. Issue logs. And these are documentation of challenges and resolutions within the team. And this is important, all right? This also goes to help with the organizational process assets. Okay, it's an addition to the organizational process assets. In fact, a very important addition, because here you have those challenges that you encounter documented, challenges in terms of the conflicts and how they were resolved within the team. All right, you can have them documented here in the issues log. Change requests, initiating changes based on team performance assessments and improvement strategies. Okay, so when you've assessed the performance of your team, right, so you can now know what changes are required and where. Okay, and also the best way to go about making those changes when necessary. Okay, so what are the key takeaways from manage team? Effective leadership, right? As mentioned before, leadership is key. The fish rots from the head. Strong and adaptive leadership is crucial for guiding the team towards success. Okay, so as a PM, you have to provide that strong and robust and solid leadership that the team requires, to draw strength from, and then chart its course throughout the life cycle of the project. Proactive conflict resolution. Addressing conflicts promptly prevents escalation and maintains a healthy team environment. All right, so you have to address conflicts as promptly as possible. Okay, as a matter of fact, the word is proactive. We have to be proactive with conflict resolution. We have to actually foresee where in what areas that are likely to have conflicts. All right, and then put systems in place to ensure that immediately they arise, the conflicts are addressed immediately. Continuous communication. Regular and transparent communication fosters trust and collaboration. Now this is important, all right? And like I mentioned before, you don't want to deal with assumptions in this particular area. You want to be clear with your communication so that you can have very, very precise and comprehensive expectations, all right, for and from your team members. Okay, this will also go a long way to, you know, fostering the trusts that you require for that team cohesion. You don't want to have someone getting the wrong impression, all right, that there is some dishonesty at some point, okay, or someone not being forthright, okay, or truthful. So you don't want to give that impression in any way, form, or shape. So that's why you have to be clear with your communication and be regular with it as well. Recognition and motivation. Recognizing and rewarding team achievements positively influence morale and motivation. Now, I cannot overemphasize this, okay? There's a very key takeaway that you need to have your mind on. Adaptability. Being adaptable to the evolving needs of the team and project contributes to overall success. So, as a project manager, you have to have an open mind. Okay, you cannot be set in your ways of thinking or doing things because you're dealing with human beings here, of course. Okay, so you have to be adaptable to different approaches and to the evolving needs, all right, as circumstances also change. Right. Okay, so when you have these key takeaways in perspective and you understand them and put them to work, it's going to go a long way in ensuring that you have smooth and seamless project execution. Okay, so that's it for this section, the manage team section. In the next section, we're going to be discussing the control resources. All right, how do you control these resources and ensure that you get the best from them? And that's going to be the last section in this particular knowledge area. I'll see you there. Cheers. Hello and welcome to the last section of this very important knowledge area, the project resource management. In this section, we're going to be discussing control resources. How do you control the resources that you've put together for your project in order to ensure a successful project execution? Okay, so we're going to be learning all that in this section. So without further ado, let's go. Firstly, an overview of the control resources. The control resource phase is a critical component of project management focused on optimizing resource utilization and ensuring that resources align with project requirements. It involves monitoring, adjusting, and reporting on resource-related aspects throughout the project life cycle. Okay, now this final section focuses on resource control during project execution. You'll learn to monitor and adjust resources to ensure alignment with the project resource management plan. Now, the techniques for performance measurement and resource optimization are explored, ensuring efficient resource utilization. Okay, so by the end of this section, you should be able to understand the objectives of resource control process, identify the inputs, tools and techniques, as well as the outputs of this process. You will also understand how this process contributes to the overall success of your projects. All right, so let's get into the meat of the matter. Now, what are the objectives of control resources? The primary objectives include optimize resource utilization. Now, this is very key. This helps to ensure resources are used efficiently to meet project objectives. Okay, so you don't want to have misuse or abuse of resources. Okay, so that's why this is very key, a very key objective. Optimizing resource utilization. Monitor resource performance. You want to track resource allocation and address issues promptly. So the resources, how are they performing, all right, within the project? So you want to keep that monitoring process in perspective. Report resource status. Communicate resource related information to relevant stakeholders. Okay, so whatever the status of your resources are, based on the assessments you've done from time to time, you should be able to communicate that status to the relevant stakeholders for your project, okay, to keep them abreast and apprised, just in case you require changes at any point in time. All right, so these are the objectives that you should have in perspective in the course of this section. Now let's look at the inputs of control resources. Firstly is the project management plan, and this provides guidance for resource management and allocation. Okay, so of course you're going to have your basic framework, all right, for whatever it is that you're doing, and of course that framework is a project management plan. Resource calendars. Now these are details on resource availability and allocation schedules. All right. Work performance data. Information on resource performance and utilization. So like I said, periodically you need to have that performance assessment. Okay, so from there you get the work performance data. All right, so what are the tools and techniques that you use for this sub-process? Performance reviews. Regular assessments of resource performance against project expectations. So you must have your project expectation at the front burner of your mind. All right, and this is the expectation is going to be the standard for measuring the performance of your team members during the assessment. So you're going to be benchmarking performance against the expected standards, all right, which is the project expectation, the project requirements, okay, stakeholder requirements and all that. All right, so performance reviews. project management software, utilization of tools for tracking and managing resource allocation. So you're going to need those software, all right, for managing project. We have quite a number of those software, so you just find the one that is most relevant to your project, and also simple enough for the project team members to be able to utilize. Resource leveling, adjusting resource allocation to optimize utilization and prevent over allocation. Okay, so you have to have this adjustment in terms of your resource allocation to optimize how they are being used. Okay, issue logs. Now these are documentation of resource related challenges and the resolution. Like I mentioned before, this is going to feed into the organizational process assets. Okay, and it will provide information, about resource related challenges. Okay, and then also how they were resolved. All right, status meetings. And these are regular meetings to discuss and update resource related information. Now from time to time we're going to have these status meetings. Most times, project managers, they get too busy, and then of course also with their stakeholders and team members. All right, but this is something that has to be made provision for. Right, you have to set out times, specific times during the week, during the day, for you to have status meetings. Okay, then it will be an opportunity for you to observe, and then catch on anything that may have been overlooked. Right, so these are very important. So what are the outputs from this process? First is the work performance information. These are insights into resource performance and utilization. So with this document, you're going to know how the resources have been performing so far and how they have been utilized. Right? Change requests. These are proposals for adjusting resource allocation based on project needs. So as a project evolves, right, especially getting towards its completion, you're going to find that there are areas where you may need to make adjustments. Okay, so that's where change requests comes in. Project management plan updates, revisions to resource management strategies. Right, so once you have your project execution ongoing, so from time to time you're going to need to update the project management plan, right, based on new information that's been available, all right, that was not available at the time of putting together the project management plan. Project documents updates. These are updated records reflecting changes in resource utilization. Okay. All right. So what are the key takeaways from this section? Efficient resource management. Proactively manage and prioritize resource allocation throughout the project. So this is something you have to do proactively. Okay, you have to be proactive in managing and optimizing the allocation of resources, to project activities, and this must be sustained throughout the life cycle of the project. adaptive adjustments. Now, be flexible in adjusting resource allocation based on project changes. So this is very important. All right, knowing that you're going to have changes within your project, so you need to be flexible, all right, and adaptive in adjusting your resource allocation. Transparent communication. Regularly communicate resource status to stakeholders. So this cannot be overemphasized. Regular and clear communication with your team members, with your stakeholders, is very important to project execution, successful project execution. Timely issue resolution. Address resource related issues promptly to prevent delays. Okay. Continuous monitoring. Regularly monitor resource performance to ensure alignment with project goals. All right. Mastering the control of resources contributes to project success by ensuring that the right resources are available at the right time in the right quantities. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this knowledge area. It's really been interesting, informative, educative, as well as exciting in this section. Hope you've gathered quite a bunch and you're well equipped for successful resource management for your project execution. Okay, so ensure that you have it all in perspective. All right, and when you're done, head right straight to the quiz section to test your knowledge, all right, in this particular section. So I'll see you in the quiz section, and when you're done with that, you move straight up to the next model. Cheers.